sent the news of the past, present, and future. So here in the future is Don.
No, that's Dan, Goldie.
That's Dan, Goldie.
Otherwise, fine.
My next guest you all know. She came from the resident giggler on television's Laugh-In to an Academy Award-winning performance in her very first motion picture, Cactus Flower. And she's currently starring in the motion picture Warren Beatty was on the other night, called Shampoo. Would you welcome Goldie Hawn?
Goldie Hawn was once one of the radiant faces of Hollywood and a symbol of unforgettable beauty. However, the flash of the cameras has faded, and the iconic actress has now turned 80. Not only does she look completely different, she has also come out to make a confession about her quiet struggles, one that has devastated many.
It was really just one of those moments. When making a movie, there's always things that happen. One of them was the first director that we got. We were already in production. He just decided he didn't want to do the movie. We walked through the commissary, we walked through...
What could this iconic figure be struggling with? What is Goldie Hawn's life like now that she has turned 80? Join us as we take a deep dive into the life of this remarkable woman. The beginnings and struggles. Goldie Jean Hawn, born November 21, 1945, is an American actress, producer, dancer, and singer. She achieved stardom and acclaim for playing light-hearted comedic roles in film and television. Goldie Hawn was the heart of Hollywood. From her bubbly laugh to her unforgettable roles in Cactus Flower, Private Benjamin, and The First Wives Club, Goldie lit up every screen she touched. But the truth behind her light-hearted, wide-eyed television personality is nothing but shocking. Before the fame, Goldie Hawn was just a little girl growing up in Tacoma Park, Maryland, a place far removed from the glitter and chaos of Hollywood. Born in 1945 to Laura and Edward Horn, her early life appeared simple and ordinary on the outside. Her mother ran a dance school while her father was a musician. From the outside, their family seemed like a home filled with rhythm, discipline, and artistic passion. But beneath that harmonious surface, a quiet storm brewed, one that would shape the emotional foundation of Goldie's life for future years to come. Even as a young child, Goldie suffered from deep and persistent anxiety. Long before she knew what panic attacks were, she felt them creeping upon her like invisible shadows, stealing her breath and making the walls close in on her. She suffered from her anxiety disorder and spent her childhood terrified of things she could not control. She had a great fear of loss and the unknown. Her anxiety was so strong that she once confessed that as a little girl, she feared she would never even live long enough to experience something as simple as a first kiss. The innocence of childhood for Goldie was never untouched by worry. Rather, it was full of struggles and was shadowed by internal battles no one could see. Growing up, Goldie Hawn was not like most children. Where most children dreamed of shiny things, stardom, and applause, Goldie's only dream was to be happy. At the tender age of 11 years old, when people asked her if she wanted to be on Broadway or become a star, she answered with certainty and clarity, "No, I just want to be happy." Coming from a child, it was a startling response, one that even surprised the adults around her, but it was a glimpse into the depth of her inner world. Well, yet her crippling anxiety was not the only thing she dealt with as a child. At school, Goldie struggled with a learning disability. She had difficulty learning to read and was placed in the lowest reading group in class. It was a humiliating position for a sensitive child, but it also planted the first seeds of hard work in her. Thankfully, she was not alone. Goldie revealed her second-grade teacher, a woman named Mrs. Povich, played a great role in saving her. Not with extraordinary interventions, but with gentle encouragement and a strong belief in her potential. Though often overlooked, that adult validation mattered greatly to the young Goldie, giving her the confidence to continue learning despite the difficulties. It was perhaps the first time Goldie felt seen in a way that was safe. Away from school, her true passion was dancing, and by the age of 3, she was already learning ballet. Dancing became her escape from the struggle in the other areas of her life. For her, it wasn't about performing for others. It was about losing herself in movement and in rhythm. Dancing was so important that Hawn began taking ballet and tap dance lessons at the age of 3 and danced in the corps de ballet of the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo production of The Nutcracker in 1955. She made her stage debut in 1964, playing Juliet in a Virginia Shakespeare Festival production of Romeo and Juliet. By 1964, Hawn had gotten so skillful, she ran and taught in a ballet school, having dropped out of American University, where she was majoring in drama. She focused on her dancing career and made her professional dancing debut in a production of Can-Can at the Texas Pavilion of the New York World's Fair. She began working as a professional dancer a year later and appeared as a go-go dancer in New York City. Dance was the one place where the noise in her head faded. It gave her a sense of control and purpose. That passion grew into her first real ambition to open her own dance school. Goldie didn't dream of red carpets or appearing before cameras. She dreamed of wooden floors, mirrors, music, and students. But life, as it often does, had other plans for her. An unanticipated career and panic attacks. At 18, filled with cautious hope, she moved to New York City for her first dance job at the World's Fair. It was a great decision for her and should have been a moment of triumph. But instead, Goldie found herself standing on 10th Avenue, utterly alone. Something shocking had happened. The people she was meant to stay with had left town without informing her. She had no home, no place to stay, and no safety net. Goldie was devastated. It was her first true taste of adult vulnerability. Yet even in that moment of chaos, she didn't fall apart. Instead, she figured out a way to keep going. Goldie solved the problem by staying with her dance teacher for a few nights. After taking a few jobs, she found an apartment and moved forward. It was the first real test of the years of resilience she had built in childhood. Luck shined on her, and not long after Goldie began getting jobs. Small performances, then auditions. A new world was opening up, but with it came a storm she wasn't ready for. With her skillful dancing and beauty came the movie roles. Goldie Hawn began her acting career on the short-lived sitcom Good Morning World in 1967.
Good morning, world!
Oh, nothing.
Oh? Then why were you giggling? What's so funny?
Oh, nothing.
Just a personal ladies thing between us ladies.
Yeah? Oh, honey, I have some good news. You know, Vinny's brother came through with the tickets for the Freaks.
Playing the bubbly girlfriend of a radio DJ. But it was her next role on the hit comedy show Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In that catapulted her to stardom.
You may speak, Dick.
No, I'm Dan, Goldie. You remember me.
Well then, Dan Martin. How could I forget?
Hi, Goldie. That's Dick, Goldie.
With her playful charm, spontaneous giggles, and carefree persona, she quickly became one of the most recognizable faces on television and a 1960s it girl. She took that energy to the big screen with breakout roles in Cactus Flower, There's a Girl in My Soup, and Butterflies Are Free. Her first major film role in Cactus Flower didn't just win over audiences. It was a role that would change the trajectory of her life forever. The wide-eyed, naive young woman she portrayed struck a deep emotional chord with audiences, and with the Academy too. Unsurprisingly, it won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 1996. A surreal victory that she never saw coming. Shockingly, Goldie revealed that she hadn't even watched the award broadcast the night it aired. According to the iconic actress, when she received the call, she thought it was a joke. She was awed, stating that she had not been thinking about winning and had moved on after working. Her sense of humble detachment would define her approach to fame for decades to come. She was different. While others chased the spotlight, Goldie often tried her best to turn away from the flashing cameras. Even during her rise in the 70s and 80s, she approached each project with hesitation. not out of pride, but out of a great need to protect her inner peace. She went to great lengths to make sure she was not devoured by the system. She just wanted to create something meaningful, something that brought lightness without pressure, but her talent was undeniable, and it did not go unnoticed. Although most of her roles presented her as the dumb blonde stereotype, Goldie knew how to turn comedy into gold. Following her Academy Award win for Cactus Flower, Goldie Hawn's career soared. She starred in a series of successful films in the 1970s, including There's a Girl in My Soup, Butterflies Are Free, and The Sugarland Express. She balanced comedy and drama skillfully, even stepping into music with a country album produced with Dolly Parton and Buck Owens. Hawn also hosted popular TV specials, earning Emmy nominations and showing off her musical and comedic chops. Her comeback hit, Foul Play, brought her back into the spotlight, and in 1980, Private Benjamin, which she co-produced, became a major success, earning her a second Oscar nomination, this time for Best Actress. Her role in Private Benjamin was one of the most memorable roles. She portrayed a spoiled widow who joined the army and transformed her life.
To the wrong place.
Uh-huh.
See, I did join the army, but I joined a different army. I joined the one with the condos and the private rooms. What? No, really, my recruiter, Jim Ballard, told me that...
I don't care what your lousy recruiter told you, Benjamin. I'm telling you, there is no other army.
The role mirrored Goldie's real-life metamorphosis as a woman learning to navigate pain with humor and finding strength in vulnerability. Her audiences didn't just laugh at the humor-filled movie. They saw themselves in her confusion and eventual victories. Throughout the 80s, she kept her comedic momentum with hit movies like Seems Like Old Times, Protocol, and Overboard. Hawn even graced the cover of Playboy at 39, proving she remained a pop culture icon well into the decade. Goldie was wildly successful, but beneath her success, a condition from her past was taking over her life. What was this shocking condition? Stay with us to find out. As Goldie grew more famous, she became more terrified. The lingering anxiety disorder she had suffered in childhood came back with a vengeance. She started having full-blown panic attacks that threatened to disrupt her new life. Her body would tremble, her chest would tighten, and her thoughts would spiral. The success that others saw as a blessing felt to her like a trap consuming her life. Goldie had never wanted to be famous, and she feared the possibility of being consumed by her fame. She just wanted peace. At 21, overwhelmed by fear and confusion, Goldie began seeing a psychologist for her anxiety. For the next 8 years, she delved into a deep and often painful road of self-exploration. Through therapy and meditation, she slowly learned how to live with her anxiety, how to recognize and breathe through it. It was not a quick remedy, but a long and quiet fight that she waged privately. Goldie's mother, who knew her struggles, stood by her, giving her important advice to navigate her growing career. She warned Goldie to always focus on the job and the audience, as they were the ones who made the star. Even as the world fell in love with her bright smile, Goldie kept her mother's advice close to her, using it as the rule which she lived by. That truth became her compass. Goldie never tried to manipulate fame. She let the audience decide if she was worth remembering. They definitely did decide in her favor. Looking back, it is quite evident that Goldie Hawn's childhood wasn't marked by the type of dramatic tragedies that made headlines, but by a more silent kind of suffering, the kind that punishes the mind, hiding behind her radiant personality and laughter. Her struggle was also the kind that quietly builds character without public support. Hers was a quiet battlefield which she emerged from, mentally scarred but deeply human. Her gentleness and obvious humanity would later become her most powerful gift on screen. However, that wasn't all that Goldie had to battle. Her shocking revelation at the Oscars. At 80 years old, Goldie made headlines at the 2025 Oscars, not just for attending, but for owning the red carpet. Dressed in a shimmering champagne gown with flawless makeup and that signature smile. Fans and photographers alike were stunned at how radiant she looked. Social media exploded with admiration, with many saying she looked decades younger yet. She continued to struggle. Her life, once a cascade of glittering premieres, flashing cameras and warm ovations, has in recent years slowed into something quieter and heavier. At times, her decline from popularity is devastatingly isolating, but her radiant smile remains. However, the weight behind it has grown into something heartbreakingly visible. And at the Oscars, she made a shocking revelation that changed the way people saw her. In March 2025, during a moment that shocked and moved millions, Goldie stepped onto the Oscars stage alongside Andrew Garfield.
There's a person who gave my mother, during her life, the most joy, the most comfort, and tonight, I feel very lucky because I get to thank that person from the bottom of my heart. That person is Goldie Hawn.
As she turned to read the teleprompter, she paused, and the words didn't come. Her smile faltered then with a small laugh that couldn't mask the truth. She admitted a devastating truth. "I am completely blind. I have cataracts." That short sentence was heartbreaking, a cruel reminder that even the brightest stars can be swallowed by the passage of time. Yes, cataracts are common among the elderly, but for someone like Goldie Hawn, a woman who once lit up screens with her charming eyes and expressive charm, the irony was cruel. The world she had once seen so vividly now appeared through a clouded lens caused by her illness, and it wasn't just her eyesight that had begun to fade. It was the presence, the rhythm, and the closeness that used to define her world. Yet it wasn't the first time she had felt herself disappearing from the world she found familiar. Long before the diagnosis, Goldie had quietly battled the slow erosion of fame. Hollywood is known to be famously unkind to women as they age, and it treated Goldie no differently. As she grew older, the roles thinned, and the phone rang less often. Where once her name had been on every single screen, she now found herself watching from the sidelines. And yet, that retreat into silence didn't bring peace. It brought reflection, and it brought pain to her. But Goldie doesn't chase youth. In interviews, she's spoken openly about aging gracefully, focusing more on mental and spiritual wellness than cosmetic fixes. True beauty, she says, comes from being comfortable in your skin and radiating from within. Goldie has always been open with her struggles, be it her anxiety disorder, which made her seek therapy at 21, or her fear of fame. Yet the one thing she rarely talked about was her deeply personal heartbreak. Relationships, marriages, and divorces. Although Goldie had never been one to hide her relationships, her heartbreaks were events she considered deeply personal. Her first husband, Gus Triconis, was a dancer, who later became a director and appeared as a Shark Gang member in West Side Story. They married on May 16, 1969, and separated on April 9, 1973. Hawn then dated stuntman Ted Grossman. What began as a hopeful union quickly unraveled beneath the weight of Hollywood's pressures and Goldie's rising fame. While she rarely speaks about the pain of that chapter, it marked one of her earliest lessons in emotional survival. The quiet dissolution of their marriage in 1976 left a lasting imprint on her, one that deepened her understanding of loneliness, of love lost too soon, and of the emotional cost behind a public smile. However, Goldie did not stop searching for companionship. She went on to date Swedish actor Bruno Winseland, then Italian actor Franco Nero. Although they were separated, She did not file for divorce from trichiness until New Year's Eve in 1975, after becoming engaged to musician Bill Hudson of the Hudson Brothers, whom she'd met the previous summer on a first-class flight from New York to Los Angeles. Hawn was granted a divorce in June 1976 and married Hudson on July 3rd in Tacoma Park, Maryland, where she grew up. They had 2 children, son Oliver, born September 7, 1976, and daughter Kate, born April 19, 1979. Hudson filed for divorce from Goldie on August 15, 1980. Hawn subsequently had romances with French actor Yves Renier and Moroccan businessman Victor Dry, which did not last very long. The divorce from Hudson was finalized in March 1982, and it would be many years before she found lasting companionship again. That early loss lingered in the background, shaping how she trusted, how she loved, and how she protected her heart. However, Goldie found love where she least expected it. Goldie Hawn found a lasting companionship with Kurt Russell. Hawn has been in a relationship with Kurt Russell since Valentine's Day, 1983. The couple first met while filming the one and only genuine original family band in 1967, but became involved after reconnecting on the set of Swing Shift. They have a son together, Wyatt, born July 10, 1986. In 2000 and again in 2004, news outlets reported that Hawn and Russell were on the verge of breaking up, but the rumors remained unconfirmed and eventually faded away as they stayed together. During the alleged separations, Hawn was rumored to have been involved with other notable figures. Hawn and Russell, who celebrated 40 years together in 2023, own homes in Canada, Colorado. Hawn has said that she has no plans to marry Russell, stating that she would have been long divorced if she had been married, and that she and Russell chose to stay together, and they do not feel that marriage cements a relationship. Although their dynamic is strange to many, it certainly works for the couple, as they are often seen in loving poses in public. They remain one of the industry's most beloved couples. Their bond is real, grounded, and full of mutual respect. "We grow together," she once said. "We laugh together, we're honest with each other, and we keep it fun." Even today, they're still seen hand in hand on red carpets, looking more in love than ever. Goldie's regrets and her resilience. Although Goldie has overcome everything in her way, later in life, another weight settled on her shoulders. A deep sense of regret, not about fame or roles lost, but about the time she had lost by not spending it with her children. She spoke about time stolen by flights, by sets, by red carpet events. In a moment of vulnerability, Goldie revealed that she wished she could have been there more. She confessed once, her voice breaking, that she missed games and important moments with her children. Goldie referred to them as those things that could never be gotten back. Despite those regrets, she built a family filled with love. Her children, now adults, remain close, but even love doesn't always protect against loneliness. As friends passed and the world moved on, Goldie found herself reflecting more on her legacy than on career. Her work with the Mind Up Foundation became a lifeline she poured herself into, using neuroscience, mindfulness, and emotional education to help children understand their own brains and build mental strength. Her works of charity gave her a purpose beyond fame. Yet the iconic actress reveals that even in her advocacy, she sometimes felt the ache of being unseen. She just wanted to be happy, but happiness in later years has become a quite fragile thing for her. There are good days, filled with laughter, grandchildren, soft music, and the comfort of home. But there are also days marked by shadows of the past, declining health, and memories that return not with warmth, but with a sting. Slowly, she has lost her independence and her public appearances have become rarer. When she does emerge, her fans comment on her glow, but few see the immense courage it takes just to walk across a stage in an industry that detests aged women. Inside Goldie, there is still the girl who just wanted to dance, who only ever dreamed of opening a ballet school, who stood alone on 10th Avenue in New York with nowhere to sleep and figured it out anyway. That girl never truly left. She simply grew older, and perhaps the most heartbreaking truth of all is that the more she gave the world, the more it forgot how much she carried alone. As the applause fades and the cameras dim, what remains is the essence of Goldie Hawn, a woman of extraordinary depth and a heart still searching for quiet joy. She doesn't ask for sympathy, only to be remembered not just for the light she gave, but for the darkness she survived, and that perhaps is her most profound performance of all. At 80 years old, Goldie Hawn lives a life that is no longer measured in awards or premieres. She resides away from the glitz of Hollywood, surrounded by nature and family, holding tightly to the few things that have always brought her peace and love. Sure, her days are slower now, but not empty. In fact, she's become more vocal than ever about self-care and mindfulness, particularly for children. At 80, Goldie Hawn is still setting the standard, not just for Hollywood glamour, but for authenticity, compassion, and purpose. She radiates joy. She lifts others up. And she continues to show the world that aging can be beautiful, powerful, and even fun. Goldie has shown that true fulfillment comes not from being seen by millions, but from being known by a few deeply and truly. What do you think? Do you think Goldie Hawn is brave for how she survived her struggles? Do you think her ideals are valid? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.